It's now time for Sports Scene. Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris is an informative show with excellent guests. Now, here is Greg.
And welcome back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Glad to be here in Chesapeake, right here recording at FM 99 and 106.9 with our good friend Justin Lee. Of course, Justin does the show every Friday night on 790. Justin, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I've had a newborn here on my hands, so I've been super busy with that. But, I always keep my ear to the sports beat.
Congratulations to her and your wife both.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of sleepless nights, but it's all rewarding, I'll tell you that.
This segment brought to you by Outback Steakhouse in Virginia Beach, the Kempsville location. Delicious steaks and all of your faves for lunch and dinner. Go by and see Mike and the staff 7 days a week. Let's get right to it. Coming up is the NFL draft, and of course, there's always speculation, especially on that first, second, and third pick.
Yes, especially with things like, tragedy seeming to happen with, top prospects out of LSU, him, having that tragic death, right ahead of the draft, and is it going to be a quarterback-heavy draft? I've never been super high on wanting to take quarterbacks and, the super top picks of the draft, but hell, a lot of quarterbacks seem to be missing that piece, and it seems like this is a quarterback-heavy league, so obviously, you got the, Travis Hunters of the world that have, won the Heisman and done all of that. But are there going to be some quarterbacks that sneak up in the first, 5 picks? You never know.
Absolutely. Should be very interesting. Always a pleasure. It'll be in Green Bay. A lot of historic value there as well. Yeah,
especially with Jordan Love and what he can do and what we've seen him be, the top quarterback to end the seasons perennially. Matter of fact, he even went into Dallas and ended their season, a couple years back. So, and hell, Dallas hasn't even recovered since. But moving on, they could definitely use a top piece like Travis Hunter. I don't think they need a quarterback. So, I obviously there won't be a quarterback drafted right there.
But, of course, the draft will be in Wisconsin this year. So
yes. And, but it's always funny, the draft. A lot of kids choose to opt out and just do it from home and sit on their couch and be with their families. Some want to be there in person. So lives are changed no matter what.
Had a chance to be in Raleigh recently at the NCAA tournament. Had a chance to see Florida and, of course, Duke and Connecticut. Also, your alma mater, too, Justin, Norfolk State. They acquitted themselves well.
Yeah, it's always good to see them make an appearance in the NCAA tournament. Coach Jones is just addicted to winning, it seems like, at Norfolk State ever since he's been there. They've had nothing but winning records, and they've, turned some heads, too. They've definitely been the top team in the MEAC, it feels like perennially, and even on the women's side, too. Their coach ended up parlaying, a 3-time Coach of the Year into Auburn, I believe, Auburn position. So, a lot of great stuff coming out of the MEAC, and then obviously we transitioned slowly into football season there, too, where head coach Mike Vick will be, spearheading things, and it kind of seems like the program during the off season is kind of looking all right. It's got more eyes than I think it's ever had in the off season. So, a lot of exciting things. But of course, we got basketball coming up, and it seems like basketball has the least amount of eyes of all the major sports. A lot of people don't tune in to all 162 Major League Baseball games, but they tune into all NFL games, and they definitely ended up tuning in with, some of these stars that are coming in Major League Baseball. But now we got basketball, and I think this is when people start to care, about the playoffs. We had the play-in games yesterday. We got a couple more tonight, and then obviously the first round in the upcoming days. So a lot of exciting stuff with the NBA playoffs coming up.
Yep, of course, the Magic won as well as the Warriors. And, of course, tonight it'll be the Heat and the Bulls and the Mavericks and the Kings. So, really, the play-in is a really neat concept. I was kind of skeptical at first, but it's really good. Yeah,
and it seems like, it's just another way to give us more playoff action, which I'm I'm all for. I mean, the basketball season can just be grueling and just as long, but when you mix in, hey, we got some of these play-in games, we got a play-in tournament, but basketball has struggled with, some of the ratings, if you will. And I think with this Luka move, which just seems so unprecedented, they obviously have the Timberwolves in the first round. I think that'll be really interesting. I think that'll draw some eyes with all these stars. You got LeBron James, Luka, you got Anthony Edwards. I mean, these are some big names. The future and the past, if you will, and the present of the NBA will all be on the court in a playoff series. So this is the way I think that the NBA will get some more eyes if they start leaning more into their stars and figure out who's going to be the face whenever the LeBron James of the world leaves.
Yeah, you got some great matchups already. Saturday, Bucks and the Pacers, Clippers and the Nuggets, Pistons and the Knicks, and, of course, the Timberwolves and the Lakers, of course. So a lot of good stuff. This is a really exciting time for the NBA.
It is, and, it sucks when some of the stars that are supposed to carry some of these playoff games are out going into it. I believe Damian Lillard, he might be sidelined for a little bit, but the Clippers, they've applied pressure all year. It's so weird, though, with the Nuggets firing their head coach going into the playoffs. I mean, in what world do you get a team to the playoffs? And I guess, granted, they weren't number one in the West, but hell, you're still heading to the playoffs, and then you fire a coach?
Yeah, and then the Suns fire their coach, and they fire it yearly, it seems like, and you got to give a chance for a man to reset, especially going from one coast to another. I don't get the NBA or the NHL that matter. Their fuses are very short.
Their fuses are very short. Contracts are meant to be broken, especially in both leagues, as we've seen. Things are done, seems like, for the dollar and not for the sport, it seems like. But, I don't know. I don't know in what world you fire. I mean, and this is a head coach that has a world championship. He's got an NBA championship under his belt with this same team. They're heading into the playoffs as a 4 seed out of the West, and they just said, no, I think we will have a better chance of getting it done without you. So it's just odd.
Very good. Justin, all the best to you and your baby and your girlfriend, and continued health and happiness for all three of you.
Greg, I appreciate your time, and yes, as you know, time for me to go back to changing diapers, but I will be watching all the playoff games and recapping a lot of them on WNIS.
And Justin, of course, is a board member of the Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame, and, of course, I'll be honored August 10th to be in the Athletic Hall of Fame of the Lower Virginia Peninsula for broadcasting. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Greg, I appreciate your time.
Very good. Raising Cane's, best chicken fingers in the peninsula, south side as well. Visit their Yorktown location today. Go by and see Paul and their friendly staff. Get some great chicken fingers, coleslaw, fries, and, of course, soda or tea. Stay tuned.
Virginia Beach, it's here. Mongolian Grill at Salem Crossing by Walmart, located at 2029 Lynn Haven Parkway, is now open daily. Enjoy fresh, delicious food in an exciting atmosphere with all-you-can-eat meats, veggies, salads, soups, and their amazing Mongolian Grill.
Now let's get back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
And welcome back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Adam, our producer, right here at 106.9 FM 99 Studios, recording Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Brought to you by Mi Hogar, delicious Mexican food in Norfolk. Go by and see Armando and the friendly staff for lunch and dinner 7 days a week on Granby Street, a tradition in Norfolk for several decades. Great food, drinks, and Cinco de Mayo is coming up. Welcome, Sonny Dearth from the Daily Press, the Virginian Pilot. Sonny, how are you, my friend?
Excellent. Thanks for calling. Thanks to you, Greg and Adam.
Yeah, very good. Always a fun time of the year. Spring sports is big, and, of course, scholastically, but let's get right to it. The NFL draft is coming up very soon, and not a lot of major stars. Of course, Sanders is one of them, of course, but, there's a lot of quarterback needs, and will be very interesting that first round.
Yeah, clearly Cam Ward's going to go to somebody. I've seen mock drafts projecting him to go to the Tennessee Titans. I've seen Sanders from everywhere with the Giants and to the New Orleans Saints. It's going to be there still are some prizes in store before they go to Green Bay. I think the most intriguing prospect is Travis Hunter. There hasn't been a player like him since Charles Woodson.
Absolutely.
Now he's saying he really wants to play both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Very good. And, of course, it'll be interesting. It's always a hodgepodge, mix and match. It's very, very random. There's last-minute things. That's why they always kind of make you wait, have a little time limit so they can process in between. Although most teams kind of have an idea who they want in the first round. The second rounds after that are kind of different. Of course, Sonny, I mentioned to our first guest, Justin Lee, exciting. The draft will be in Green Bay in Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're looking forward to it up there. The draft has become an event. It's such a different story from when we were growing up, when it was just basically a bunch of guys and desks and phones in a room. I mean, now it's a show, just like a game is.
Yeah, it's a major, major event, of course. Let's get right to the college basketball. Of course, Connecticut women won and Florida men won. I had a chance to see Florida in Raleigh. They really had a really good team. And, of course, Houston's always very solid as well.
Yeah, I mean, this year's Final Four was about the best that I'd ever seen. 4 of the best teams of this generation. So the Gators who won it can consider themselves one of the best teams of all time.
Mm-hmm.
What's wild is Duke had a huge lead and let it go, and then the team that came back to beat them, Houston, had seemingly a commanding lead 2 nights later and couldn't hold on to it.
Very curious.
That was fraught with drama.
Yeah, very curious where Cooper Flagg what team will get him, but it's pretty obvious on he's definitely going to go to the NBA draft unless for some reason he wants one more year, but that's going to be all on him.
Yeah, I think he'll go to the NBA. My feeling with this is someone will have him for 4 years, but I think he's probably going to want to go to the Celtics after that. That's the team he grew up following.
Yeah,
and that is his team.
Yeah. Another Larry Bird for sure. Kind of reminds me a little bit. I mean, he's a little bit better, but a Dave Cowens who played for the Celtics. He runs like him. He moves like him. Cowens, of course, was left-handed, but very similar. I get more of a Cowens than I do Larry Bird when I see Cooper Flagg. What about the French Open's coming up, Sonny? That's always an exciting event. What's the American women prognostication, and, of course, the men as well?
Well, it's kind of hard to say. Yannick Sinner's coming back as number 1 in the world, but we'll see how he responds from suspension. Everything's been up and down on the American women's side. You've seen players like Coco Gauff, Jessica Pegula, Emma Navarro. They've really played well at times. Iga Swiatek, to me, is still the best on clay as she's playing her best. And certainly Aryna Sabalenka is very good as well. It's really as wide open as you can be. There really is not a dominant men's or women's player right now. And that should make the competition quite interesting. And it's going to be on Turner this year, which is the first time that's ever been the case. So I'm curious to see how their presentation is.
Yeah, always fun on clay. NBA playoffs, of course, always exciting. We mentioned tonight earlier Heat and Bulls, Mavericks and the Kings. And, of course, Friday is going to be a really good setup as well with the Heat and the Bulls against the Hawks or the Mavericks and Kings against the Grizzlies. And, of course, this is a fun time. This play-in game is a lot of exciting. It kind of reminds you of the play-in for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good idea. It certainly generated some excitement. I was glued to Memphis and Golden State last night.
How you stay up so late, Sonny. You have West Coast sleeping habits on the East Coast as well. Sonny, thank you so much, and we look forward to talking to you as the spring and the summer evolve.
Okay, thanks much, guys.
I want to welcome our good friends at Bohemian Amigos Record Shop. Go by and see Eric and the friendly staff. Give them a call at 757-527-2191. Bohemian Amigos. Like them on Facebook. They're in the Fox Hill section near Harris Teeter, 227 Fox Hill Road, Hampton, Virginia, Willow Oaks, Village Square. Always putting on good shows, nice events. They really have a lot going on, and I'm amazed, too, those vintage classic records, Adam, they're really making a comeback.
Nothing beats the sound of a needle on vinyl. Nothing.
Yeah.
And then what I love is the kids are finding that out, and they are bringing it back because it's great. There's turntables in stores now, records with more popular artists on them. Even the old school artists are, you're seeing those albums again. It's really encouraging to see. I love it.
Yeah, Bohemian Amigos. Eric does a great job. He's been in bands for years. He knows what he's doing. Go by and see his wonderful store right there in Hampton. Stay tuned.
It's now time for What Teased Me Off with Greg.
Adam, you know what teased me off is when you see these neighbors or whoever in the public doing bonfires and they tend to walk in, go to the bathroom unattended. Well, guess what?
What?
Bonfires start fires.
Oh, they do.
especially with the wind we've been having lately.
We're on the coast.
Yeah.
A lot of wind around here. Those ashes get flying around, dude. Next thing you know, you're torching up the neighborhood.
It's too close.
What are you doing?
And there's leaves and there's debris.
Just pee next to the fire.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's the extinguisher.
Hey, Greg, you know what teased me off? Traffic lights. Why can't they be smart traffic lights? Why do I have to watch a green light from 300 feet away with no one going through it, only turn red when I get up to it? Dude, I cannot stand it. I got places to go. It's 2025. Let's do this already. Smart traffic lights.
And to tee you off on that, too, the speed zones, when you get to these areas, you got to be careful in school zones. I get it. But when the times fluctuate from 8:40 to 9:05 and they get you back to back, that ain't fun.
No.
The last thing, too, is when you get rid of a tree, and then, of course, you got to get the stump grinded. And what happens, Adam, there's a lot of mulch. There's more mulch to fill in 15 neighbors' flower beds, and then we can have some excess, too, as well.
I've seen it.
I tell you, there's nothing like trying to get rid of mulch.
Man, I tell you, now's the springtime. Call all your friends with trucks, free mulch, get on Facebook Marketplace, free. Come pick up, get it out of my yard. There you go. Problem solved.
And it's good for the environment because it kind of blends in with the woods anyway.
And what's good is that stuff right there isn't chemically treated. There's no dyes or anything to it, so you could use it for your chicken coops, which everybody's doing these days. It's good for your flower beds so the kids can play around the yard, and everything's good. So,
I hate to say this, but there's also wild fox out here, and of course, I'm sure they like it too if you put it in the backyard by the woods there. Anyway, that's what tees us off. Sakura Sushi Bar is now open in Virginia Beach. For a one-of-a-kind dining experience, Sakura in Red Mill is a favorite of locals and tourists. Tasty sushi prepared fresh for you, as well as delicious entrees from the kitchen. This is the go-to place for sushi lovers. Enjoy lunch and dinner daily with some refreshing cocktails and adult beverages. Sakura Sushi Bar is located at 2137 Upton Drive and is open daily. Call 757-522-7288 and enjoy your next meal at Sakura Sushi Bar at Red Mill Commons.
Now let's get back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
And welcome back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Always a pleasure to talk to George McClain, the owner of the Marksman, who's had his business for 15 plus years. George, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Greg. How about yourself?
Very good. What's new at the Marksman? We're in the month of April, and of course, daylight a little bit longer, and people are outdoors more.
Well, very true. So, we're just, geared up on keeping things stocked up, for the summertime. And that typically starts leading into a bit of a slow period once, school gets out and the folks are out on vacation. But right now, weather has been good, and the daylight increase does bring more folks out in the evening. So we just stay prepared for that and try to keep our guests, entertained, with all the equipment and everything that they need for the range.
Always a great customer service experience there. Sherry and the staff do a really good job hands-on, and that's so important, George, to get repeat customers.
Well, it is, and to get repeat customers, obviously you have to treat them right, the first time in, or you never see them the second time. So it's kind of a standard business practice. But customer service is the first on your first three things on our list that we try to keep everybody happy. Safety works into that, and some people sometimes don't understand safety etiquette, and so we lose a few in that regard. But that makes it safe for everybody else. So if you don't want to follow the safety rules, you probably need to find someplace else to go shoot.
The Marksman is located at 520 Industrial Park Drive in Newport News. Like them on Facebook, of course, and they are open and Sunday by appointment. Correct, George?
That's correct. That's primarily when we have our concealed classes, but and the appointment if it's needed for whatever reason. But typically Monday through Saturday.
Very good. And of course, between the accessories and the ordering and the supplies, how is the supply chain going, George? I mean, we're 5 years past COVID now. Are things pretty much back to normal?
Pretty much. There have been still some slow where manufacturers haven't replaced all of their, employees. There's a lot that were lost. There's some folks, suppliers, that actually went out of business. But for the most part, we're not seeing quite 100% the way it was before COVID, but it's pretty close.
Very nice talking to George McClain. George, what about the range? How is that going? It's always beginners in there. It could be experienced veterans, but it's always good to craft in your tool and sharpen your tool as well.
Well, we tell folks all the time, and especially with this atmosphere that seems to be permeating the country right now. And so we get a lot of people interested in self-defense, stuff for protection of themselves and their family, which is absolutely great. But I don't recommend anyone just go out and purchase a firearm unless you are committed to learning the proper use of that firearm. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for some potential legal issues that, take my word for it, you don't want to have. So we try to instill in everyone that comes in and buys a firearm, especially the first one, to get the instruction, whether it's from us or you bring in another instructor, whatever the deal is, wherever you want to go to get your instruction, get instruction, learn how to use a firearm. And don't think just because it's got a trigger on it that all you do is put a bullet in it and pull the trigger. There's a whole lot more goes into it than that. So that's primary. So it's first time gun purchasers. We like to see that commitment to get instruction somewhere.
Absolutely. Talking to George McClain, the owner of the Marksman, his wonderful staff, open 6 days a week, Sunday by appointment in the northern section of Newport News, like the Marksman on Facebook as well. And George, you and I always talk about current events, and I think the first 100 days are going pretty well. And, of course, they're really trying to get those illegal fugitives and criminals out of this country and out of harm's way.
Well, and yes, and I'm all for that. I just get continuously flabbergasted that the left-leaning media would rather focus on bringing an illegal back into this country versus focusing on the victims and the ways to keep the country safe. You got sanctuary cities that want to harbor criminals with no regard to the safety of the citizens, U.S. citizens that live here, and that just blows my mind. I can't for the life of me think anyone in their right mind wants to protect a criminal over one of their own citizens. I've got an issue with it. I probably always will. And I don't see them digging themselves out of this hole. I mean, if they think that the majority of this country is going to side up with that kind of thinking, I don't know what kind of drugs that they're on, but they need to find something different.
George, I want to get your thoughts, too. Very good point there, a very valid point as well, talking to George McClain of the Marksman. This time of the year, it's a mix of cold, warm. This is very crazy weather like we always have at Hampton Road. It's still very cold at night, chilly with the wind, and you see wildlife kind of mixing and matching. It's daylight longer. We always see deer. And, of course, I know fox are around. I've seen them a few times during daylight and evening hours. But a few days ago, a friend of mine sent me a picture of fox in her backyard because there's no fence between her and her neighbor. And they're all congregating by a shed in the neighbor that's got a big gap underneath that gives them great leverage to go inside or underneath the shed. And then I've got a neighbor across the street, when their foundation vent, it's totally wide open. There's no vent, no cover, and all you're asking for is refuge of possums, raccoons, and fox. But fox can be very aggressive if somebody tries to get too close to them.
Well, that's very true. And I have seen fox even in my neighborhood where I live. But primarily, I think the bigger predators you may see are coyotes, and they're just going nuts right now. But the point that you bring up, homeowners. And if you're a homeowner, if you're renting, you need to get with the homeowner. If you have access issues like what you're talking about, through the foundation or some type of venting, and to make sure that that's closed up so that we don't inadvertently harbor facilities for whatever the predators are. Because whether you're talking about foxes, raccoons, coyotes, these can all carry rabies, and obviously that makes them much more aggressive, and they're still going to be trying to find number one, water, and two, shelter. And very aggressive. I wouldn't ask anyone to approach any of these. You can call law enforcement or animal control, if you have that in your particular area, and let them deal with it, because they can tranquilize or neutralize the animal until they can get a blood test to verify whether they're rabid or not. But that's something when you're dealing with wildlife that you need to be very careful of. Possums, on the other hand, it's very rare for them to be rabid, carrying rabies, because their body temperature is so low that the rabies virus, if you will, they find it very difficult to survive. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. There's a possibility that the possum could be rabid. It's just highly, highly unlikely.
Yeah, we used to just see raccoons and possums. Now we do see fox, and they're in several states. They love the woods. They love rural areas, but they can also venture to residential too. George, leave us with a tip as well. I mean, people do have cameras around their house. They have to be vigilant at home and on the road for safety. Cameras do help.
Well, they do, and if you've been watching the news with all this Tesla stuff going on, the cameras speak for themselves. There's 9 cameras total in a Tesla, 8 of them looking at the outside, and you can do the same thing with your home as Tesla did with the car. And so a Ring doorbell is great, but it's not enough. You need to have at that kind of each corner of the house, overlapping coverage, so you can see what's going on from an animal standpoint and from a people burglar standpoint. The old Scout motto, be prepared, and it's no truer than it's ever been than today. And we've got to play defense. And the best way for defense is obviously have a way to protect yourself, have cameras installed around your home so you have a documentation of what has transpired. It makes it easier for the police to investigate. Of course, that's after the fact, but they need this kind of evidence. So and I know this stuff can be expensive, but prices are coming down on security systems and on security cameras. So do your homework. Make the best purchase, the best camera that you can afford. Don't put yourself in a bind, but it's just to protect yourself and your property.
Yep. The Marksman is located at 520 Industrial Park Drive. Great advice from George, the owner of the Marksman in Newport News, a tradition on the peninsula. George, all the best. We look forward to talking to you in the month of May.
All right, Greg, you take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. George McClain right there from the Marksman. Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris will continue after this.
Virginia Beach, it's here. Mongolian Grill at Salem Crossing by Walmart, located at 2029 Lynn Parkway, is now open daily. Enjoy fresh, delicious food in an exciting atmosphere with all-you-can-eat meats, veggies, salads, soups, and their amazing Mongolian Grill.
Now let's get back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
I want to thank our guest today for our April edition of Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. And just a reminder to watch sports highlights on NNPS TV. Go to the YouTube channel, type in NNPS TV to watch sports highlights. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Click the YouTube link. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Greg Bic. That's GREGBIC for more great audio and video content. I want to thank our guests today, Justin Lee, Sonny Dearth, and George McClain, and our wonderful producer, Adam Armstrong. For Adam Armstrong, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Happy April. Sports Scene is available wherever you get your podcasts, on social media, and YouTube. We'll talk to you soon.
Sports Scene is produced by GJBTV.com and the Hampton Roads Media Group.